Hello, Internet. This is Open Source Live July edition, and these are my monthly reviews slash public accountability on my way to migrate to Silicon Valley and join top organization in longevity, doing best guess craft. So craft that I'm both enjoy at and are good at and can contribute to. And this is a 2-3 year journey, and we are now fifth month in. And this is a bigger part of the mission to make dev optional. And today's review will be about whether or not it is about making dev optional. And we'll talk about pivoting, something I guess is an important part of any log journey. And this is one of the main reasons why this review comes a bit later than usually, so nearly in the middle of the month. I try to give myself a few days of maybe I can provide you some clear kind of view I have right now. But I think what most this video will be about is I'll present my chain of thought to the best ability I have, and I won't try to pretend like I have all the answers or know it all. And I think I'm in the middle of pivoting and I'm collecting more information. And yeah, so today will be just like me sharing how I think about the problem, and so the structure of the review will be slightly different. We'll mostly talk about pivoting and kind of how I see what problem to work on. Then we'll talk a little bit about how did the past month go on, past months went, and what are my next goals for the next kind of 18 days. Let's put it like this. And I think we'll not go through all of the parts because again, there is a high fog situation right now. So yeah, I don't want to spend a lot of time pinpointing all the details when I'm actually not sure in the bigger picture. So this will be a slightly unusual review, but I think that's fine. It's also a great opportunity to kind of showcase how I think about pivoting in such big problems. And yeah, and also clarify my thinking. So when we talk about pivoting, we have to start with kind of what is one of my main goals I'm trying to do in life, if we talk about work-wise. And one of the things I want is that I want both short-term enjoyment, right, and long-term fulfillment. And I find this to be a great way to define happiness overall, right? Like we all want to be happy, and fundamentally it's come down to enjoying day to day what you do and being fulfilled the long run when you look back, or eventually like bigger picture of what you're doing, that you're working on something important. And when we talk about fulfillment, fundamentally to me that's about the positive impact I have and maximizing that. So one question, let's say Patrick O'Shaughnessy likes to ask is like, what would people rate in terms of power, fame, and I think money. And I think to me, it's all about like fundamentally, I'm trying to maximize happiness, which is fulfillment slash joy. And maybe I want to have also good health and maybe good relationships with others. And that is kind of a way to get both. And also positive impacts seems to be, to me, kind of one of the best ways to maximize, we talk about fulfillment. And so, when we rank the power, the money or fame, number one will always, to me, be kind of positive impact if we don't say fulfillment or joy or happiness, right? Or meaningful relationships or good health. And yeah, I just want to clarify that right away. And that's kind of one of the main goals I have in my life, to greatly progress humanity or to maximize my positive impact on it. And when you try to think, and so just to start, like, why are we talking about my life goals? I think that's the best way to present my chain of thought on what problem to work on and whether that should be making that optional or not. So yeah. So when I try to think of like, okay, maximizing positive impact sounds lovely, but what exactly that means. And if I try to write it down in a clear criterion, right, like what exactly that means, I think the question truly is about what is the most likely existential risk for me or humanity in the next plus minus 50 years, right? So I'm 21, that's why, and I plus minus will live 50 years plus, maybe 70 if we assume normal timelines and nothing crazy happens. So that's where we get 50 years from. Now, when we talk about maximizing impact, there's kind of you can write a very long essays defining impact, defining progress as a growth of wealth, and defining wealth as a set of all physical transformations humans have, or using Kardashev scale and so on. And I've kind of nearly got into those rabbit holes, but of course, but fundamentally, I think it's like a pretty impactful thing is to make sure that everything is not multiplied by zero, and that is that is an obvious thing for humanity. And I think I'm obviously, in the Silicon Valley culture, and that's where I'm spending most of my time, and that's where I want to be. And I think Silicon Valley is great at really paying attention to the existential risk of humanity. I think everyone gets that. I'm not sure, was it EA people, or was it Elon Musk who kind of brought this to light, but I think this is a very ingrained idea in Silicon Valley culture. But I think what is not that well ingrained is that you also want to care about the existential risk for yourself. Like, if you're going to die of old age, disease, or mortality, or morbidity, it's kind of like, it's great that you done what you could to save humanity, but it seems to me like a fundamental risk mitigation problem. It's a bit dehumanizing to yourself, right? And so I think that was a very important thing to include to me, is that I also really care about what are the main risks to me as a person. I don't want to die. I don't want to be forced to die. So I really care about my health. And it's not just about humanity maximization, right? And I think that's one idea that I think could be added to the Silicon Valley culture, that people should also be like, yeah, I don't want to fucking die. And it's not only about saving humanity, but also saving your ass, right? Like, if you do something great, but at the end of life you die, like, to me, that seems like, maybe not lack of ambition, but a bit, maybe not parochial thinking, but like, you haven't thought that, holy shit, maybe I should not die also, right? You shouldn't also save yourself, right? So not be so selfless in a bad way. So that little rant. And so, when you try to answer this question, I think when you really think about it, for me, it's two real contenders. It is longevity, so making every disease, aging, and death optional for all humans in the world, including myself. And longevity has a spectacular, quote unquote, quote spectacular track record of killing all people in human history, besides the ones born 100 years ago. And you just need to give the time, probably that will also happen sadly. So 100,000 people, around 100,000 people die every year, and that's horrific. So like, that's a very real, very probable existential risk for me. Let's put it like this. And another one is probably in the next 50 plus years. The most likely one is misaligned superintelligence. So what exactly that means, it doesn't have to be God, and that's one of the improvement, I think, in my thinking. It just has to be a capable enough AI system that could significantly speed up AI research and development, and that could do that early enough where that self-reinforcing loops starts early for crazy impacts eventually to happen, let's say in those 50-year timelines. So those are two real contenders. And why are we recording kind of all of this pivoting review, let's put it like this, is because I think I was not fairly assessing misaligned superintelligence as a contender. In fact, I don't think I was like that clear, that thinking was that clear in my mind. So first of all, putting it was very nice. Second of all, I think I had some simple dogmatism, a simple bias, a negative bias against it, and desire to be contrarian. So I think I take very seriously, and I really agree with Peter Thiel's idea of, you have to be contrarian, you have to do something that not everyone else does, and that's the only way to get outstanding results. So you have to escape competition by all means. And so I get a lot of joy of say everyone is now crazy about AI and AI hype mania, and like kind of, if you can escape that, there's a lot of rewards you can get if those people are wrong. But sometimes they're also not wrong. And I think that's what I was doing. I was overly indexing on, no, it's just people are crazy, like 1990s internet times. And people are just, it's like, madness in crowds. Madness is in crowds is present, in individual madness is rare, but in crowds it's prevalent. And that's how I was kind of explaining it all. And I think if we try to see the situation as clearly as possible, it is a part of the whole picture. But I think there is also a big part of the picture that is a real technological breakthrough. And I was not assessing that technological and taking that technological breakthrough seriously and what could be its implications. And so one other reason that I think my thinking got a bit too clear is that I kind of was taking, I think I was disagreeing with maybe people saying, AI will solve all problems in the world, all jobs will be gone in next 2 years or next 3 years. But that led me not to consider cases of just longer timelines, let's say 50 years, right? Like it's a much different case of to talk, okay, but what will happen in 50 years? And that's still my lifetime, and that's still meaningful timeline for me to consider. And I was not doing that. So I think those are kind of one of the main mistakes I was making, and not taking misaligned superintelligence seriously. So just like a, simple lack of maybe rationality, clarity of mind, as always, right? And so when we think about those kind of those two contenders, how do I assess them, right? How do I say what should I work on? Is it longevity, or is it trying to make do something in the field of super intelligence, like let's say alignment work on it, right? Which will eventually come. So I think the true question, how to decide between those two, as I see it right now, is about will we have the system that will be powerful enough to meaningfully speed up the AI R&D, and will this self-reinforcing loop start early enough for significant impacts to occur in the next 50 years, right? So it doesn't have to be God. It doesn't have to take all the jobs. It just have to be good enough to help with AI R&D and do that somewhat meaningfully. And that loop has to start early enough in, let's say, my lifetime, so in the next 50, 70 years, where the self-reinforcing loop starts to compound and eventually get to some crazy significant impacts, right? And that's the question I'm truly asking. I'm not asking, when the super intelligent God will come or AGI will come. I'm asking, when will we have a system that will speed up the AI R&D? Will it happen early enough for compounding to get crazy in my lifetime? And that's a much simpler question, and I think it's a much simpler question and much better question than like, when ACI comes, how do you think of it? What do you prepare for it? What about AGI? So when I clarify the discussion and kind of the battle between two ideas in the Colosseum to that question, I get much more clarity. And that's one of the main reasons why we are now talking about pivoting, because that question seems to be much harder to answer. Well, like, it will not happen in the next 50 years or in the next 70 years. Of course, you cannot predict reality. You cannot predict future. Many things can go wrong, but it seems a much harder bet to say, no, it will not happen, than to say just, yes, I mean, it probably will happen. Um, and Yeah, so I think this is kind of where my thinking is right now. And I do not really claim that I certainly have an answer to that. Of course, it seems to me I'm taking this question seriously enough where I think I should spend more time doing the research and maybe collecting more information. And yeah, because right now I think I don't have a lot of information and just kind of did the chain of thought, but was not a lot of information about the AI current capabilities, or specifically we talk about, like LLM hardcore techniques, and yeah, maybe alignment work that has been done previously and what people think of it. I don't think I was taking this whole field seriously because I was just discounting it to hype and mania and so on. Yeah, so that's where I am right now with my pivoting thinking. And we are 12 minutes in, so that's good. That's will be actually a pretty fast review. So given that question, now we can talk about what next. And yeah, so kind of what is the past progress, or where I want to go maybe is a better question. Yeah, let me think, how should we structure this? Yeah, so I think given this question, I take this question seriously enough where I think I might need to do more research to answer that and have a somewhat more confident answer to that, more informed answer to that, and that's why I'm thinking of right now pausing the work on longevity and spending at least next half a month, so till the end of August, trying to research that question and have a significant answer where I don't think I'm just neglecting misaligned superintelligence problems dogmatically or not thinking seriously about it enough, where I have a well-formed opinion about it. And so actually maybe it's a good time to just talk about what I think should be my goals then for the August, given kind of this chain of thought. So mainly I'm recording this 12th of August, so we have 18 more days. And what I mainly want to do is do more research into all the works and all the kind of, can be, like papers, substacks, main thinkers in the field, talking about superintelligence, talking about the alignment work, and talking about current LLM techniques and capabilities, and how good can they get? How good are they now actually for AI R&D and so on? And yeah, and do a bit more serious research than just, like occasionally listen to some podcast on Doorcash. And I think that is the main goal to do. And from that research, having more information, form an opinion on what to work on questions. That's how I call them. Or basically just this question, right? And in some sense, this question. But this question, I feel pretty set in my ways of longevity and misaligned superintelligence. Like, of course, if we get all the news that asteroid is about to hit the Earth, the answer will change. But right now, or some nuclear war crazy scenarios or something else, But now these two seem like a very strong contenders. Yeah, and so the main goal for basically August is to have an opinion about what to work on questions. So I can finish with this debate on pivoting and either continue to pursue longevity or course correct and pursue some super intelligent alignment work. I'm not sure there exactly, but some of that type of area and that type of problem. And yeah, I'm glad I called this series of reviews open source life and not, I don't know, making that optional. And I think it's also, I must say, like, I think just I've done some pivoting here and there, going from web development, going from sales, going from crypto to now going to AI alignment. And it's just, I think one reason it's just emotionally a bit toiling right now because you're like, okay, again. But I think it's kind of normal for when you're 21. And I think it's deeply important to make sure that you're working on the right problem. So it's like, it's very important, very impactful. And like, yeah, I take any day to improve the big problem picture I'm working on. And it's important to get right or as right as you can. So even though pivoting sucks, you get better and you get closer to achieving your goals. So I also see that as good, even though it's painful in the moment. Yeah, and so what should we do? And some other part of August goals is, of course, yeah, and basically, let's put it like this. We'll talk about ML Stanford course in a second, but mainly publish on 1st of September these open source live review with updated strategy, project bets, and so on, and kind of present a cohesive pathway forward, cohesive picture and answer to that. So either changing or not what I'm working on, but having a clear answer. And that's what I want. And yeah, so like directly working on that pivot or not. And so, given that, I'm not sure. I'll talk briefly on kind of would there be a lot of changes? Because it seems like, well, you wanted to do longevity, and I've spent like 5 months, maybe more like 2, 3, actually studying longevity, and before that, I did a big project also in longevity. So just talking about how much a difference that provides to my overall goal and how much would it. But just briefly, and I think we'll just review my July and some learnings and mistakes, and that'll be it for the review. So Swiss fucking watch strategy, I think not a lot changes because even if I work on AI alignment or something like that, super intelligence, blah, blah, not a lot changes. I would still want to go to Silicon Valley. I would still do open source life reviews because I think it clarifies my thinking. It provides a monthly reviews, and I kind of have to present you, a cohesive view. I cannot just come here and bullshit you. And yeah, so that will stay here. Yeah, I obviously want to go to Silicon Valley, and thus I obviously want to get a 1, so not a lot changes there. I obviously want to join a top organization in the field, so it will be not longevity, but maybe alignment, super intelligence work. And I would still want to have like clarity on exactly craft. Would it be research? Would it be some other work? Yeah. But a good part is that I was researching ML before as one of my crafts, and that super intelligence alignment is fundamentally about machine learning, so that's good. What would else change? So not a lot about strategy. So instead of developing world-class understanding of biology, it would be maybe current LLM techniques, machine learning, AI, alignment work, super intelligence, and so on. I would still do cheapest as possible for my crafts and double down. And fundamentally, at the end of it all, it would be still about doing ambitious projects and sharing it with others, right? So getting good enough at any craft or skill, knowledge in alignment work or anything, machine learning, to eventually be able to do some projects and share it with others that actually help to the industry, right? And that's, if you do this enough, eventually you get to you get your O1 criteria, you get to the leading organization because you're good enough, and so on. And if I want to do that, I still need to live very frugally. I need to still try to have finances saved for maybe fellowships and so on, or working on the side. So not a lot changes. And I still have to make sure that my projects exactly fulfill O1 criteria. Also, besides being also, of course, useful for the industry. So this whole journey doesn't take forever. So still making sure that I'm scoping the work correctly and so on. So inputs would not really change. It would be knowledge of maybe not longevity science, maybe alignment science, machine learning, and so on. still master and feet of the craft, still quality of projects, and still finance an NL visa to keep myself, just sustain myself. And output still will be fulfilling all one criteria and positive impact on the industry. Main risks, that's interesting. I don't think anything changes. Still poor project vetting, choose unimpactful project and fuck up their scope, poor budget management still trues, and poor feedback loop of testing guesses and being overly biased. And I think that's kind of the risk that was here. So being not truly truth seeking of what you want to work on and kind of neglecting, let's say, oh, you think maybe working on aligning superintelligence is more important than longevity, but kind of like kicking it down the road and not really working on it. Like what would truly suck is that if I would spend 1.5 years or 2 years working on that and then realizing, fuck my life, I think superintelligence is more important. And that's deeply what I want to avoid and pivot as fast as possible so I can go in the right direction. As long as I go in the right direction, everything else is not that bad of a mistake. And I think this is one of the main risks that we see right now with pivot, that it's possible, right? That I was not truly truth-seeking and thus took too long to pivot and pursue the right option. And yeah, it could take much longer, so underestimate the time it takes to learn biology or alignment work or machine learning and so on. It maybe takes much more than 2-3 years. Hopefully not. Yeah, so projects I'm betting on, that would change a lot. Probably not still prepping for fellowships would not really change. So doing machine learning specialization in Stanford probably will not change because I still not need to do that. I probably would not learn more biology and longevity. I'm not sure what would happen to my thesis, so that's something I have to think on. And open source life would still stay true. So this is something I want to clarify more in September 1st as I get more clarity. And yeah, I think we have 22 minutes. So we'll spend the last few minutes just talking about how actually July went. So July goals were send basically emails to about my thesis and get more respondents. I think I got more than 30 answers. Overall, I got 130 respondents, which is a great number. And I'm very happy with it because this is a publishable enough number where I feel confident that I can get a real work published with it. And if I get more, it's even more credible and my results kind of stay the same. So I feel good about it. I finished CS50I. I kind of decided that I think ML is good enough and I should pursue it. And I did ML specialization in Stanford and kind of continue doing it. I did a lot of pages of learning biology. And instead of, doing like 187 page or 212, I finished 290. So I got to 294 page. So like I nearly doubled what I was aiming for. And I'm very aggressive with my goals. So I doubled what I was aggressive with. And that's mainly comes down to because I was really hard on scoping the work, like really ruthless of like, my goal is not to become the next Richard Dawkins. My goal is not to understand every photosynthesis or protein detail ever. My goal is to really understand longevity and fundamentals. First, understand fundamentals of biology enough to then go and do understand longevity. And that's what I was focused on, and that allowed me to move much faster and get like pretty outstanding results. Like like probably 150, 200 pages in a month. I mean, that's a lot. This is like at least 6 pages a day, and that's a lot. That's a lot. And I think some days I was getting even more. So I feel pretty proud on especially this metric of really scoping the work correctly. And prep for fellowships, you see now we have more ambiguity with what kind of fellowships I should pursue. If I would apply previously to American Ventures and talk about how I think I should make that optional and have some projects I want to pursue, and my finance situation is funding would help with my finance and elevate that main risk. Right now, there's not there's ambiguity with what should I apply to, or if I should apply at all. So right now, there's nothing to talk about. If we talk about KPIs, I work 203 hours, which it's not 270. And one part of it is that I was traveling with siblings, and I was also seeing a friend. So that kind of complicated working hours. And that's one of the mistakes or maybe learnings we talk about. And church sprint, I wasn't exactly sure if it was less than 800, but it was ballpark in 1,000 euros. So I don't feel so bad about it. Listening, sport days, thankful days, we keep to also. So July overall went really well. And then I kind of got I started questioning, and this is kind of, you see me writing down the thinking, kind of questioning if I take the misaligned superintelligence seriously in August. And so, yeah. And I think that's a good time to talk about mistakes and learnings for the July. I think the main mistake is that it's really hard for me to keep the quality work when I'm in a different context and when the environment has shifted. Basically, I'm very fragile in that way. And I think it could improve in the long run, and I could get better because I know some of my friends who are amazing at this and they're extremely resilient in changing of environments. I'm not good at that. And so when I, travel to see my family, I cannot work at all. And also like, I mean, there is no time to work. So sometimes with my family, there is no time. But right now, I spent 2 weeks with my siblings, where they came to Tilburg and they're basically going kind of for a similar routine as I always go, sit in the library and so on. They're 14 and 16. So I was like alone dad with two kids who are teenagers. I mean, I love them. They're lovely. So yeah, they're occasionally also assholes, but it's pretty hard, and I'm not sure I did a great job at it. It was more like I think they were influencing me more than I was influencing them. But of course, it's kind of like a mixture of um, two fluids, and you get a mixture of the two, so it's like 50-50 or something like that. Uh, but I wasn't able to keep up with the sustained excellence and high quality work as I usually do when I change my environment like that. And the main learning, I think, for July is that if I do want to work 70, 80-hour work weeks and it's pretty hard to keep up any non-working relationships. Like have anyone on the side who you don't really work with is really hard and takes a lot of time. And this means you probably will not be able to do 70-hour work weeks. And so if you want to have any, then this kind of limits my pool of close friends and or a soulmate or a partner that I could kind of search through because it would be very hard to spend enough quality time and build meaningful relationships when you still want to work 80, 70-hour work weeks. And yeah, that's kind of, I think, was pretty important for me to realize that like building good relationships takes a lot of time, and I still want to also work a lot. And so combining those two is pretty challenging and hard. And I think this insight was also had serious implication on when I want to start my family or possibly delaying it, right? Like I think I definitely want to delay and wait a lot for before I start my family, or like meaningfully wait for it, because again, there would be like no other time in my life where, as early 20s, where I have like so much free time, no responsibilities, like go 80, 100 hours a week. No one can like no one touch me. I'm in full control of my schedule. That probably will not happen down the line in my life. So I should really treat this, really respect this time and use it. For the best. And that means I probably work long hours because again, the work will compound, the skill and knowledge will compound, and there will be just no more time to work so much as I can right now. And this is a unique time to do that. Yeah, I think these are just important learnings. So just like managing the relationships, meaningful relationships are a very important part of my life. But again, I also want to work a lot. And so like what kind of people I could pursue and could have enough time for all of it, and how that impacts how I think about partners and families. Partner and families is a bit different. Maybe these are the learnings and mistakes. And yeah, we have 28 minutes. And so yeah, so a pretty messy, let's say, start of August. July was, I think, excellent, to be honest, with scoping the work and everything. So I'll come back on September 1st and or early September, and I'll talk about how I've done more research and my clear answers to what to work on questions, clear cohesive view on that, and present how we're updating strategy, maybe projects bets, and what are we doing forward to move on. Are we changing path? Are we staying with longevity? And what happens next? So this may be my pivoting monthly review, and yeah, see you guys next month.